Good evening. I trust you're doing well. I certainly am doing quite well. And I'm grateful to the Almighty for this opportunity to present to you the news of the day, as well as a conversation later on Insight Tonight. My name is Victor Muyakane, and with us on sign language is the great Catherine Simaloy. And together, for the next hour or so, we will take you across your world, telling you what's happening and what you need to pay attention to, as well as sampling your feedback through the SMS line 22047, through the WhatsApp line. And later on, perhaps you might be able to call in and let us know what you think, give us your views and reviews on the news. But first, to orient you as to what we have as a serving for you this evening, we want to give you the highlights. The Kenya Human Rights Commission fingers 20 counties and their governors due to their lack of tangible progress in addressing the issue of unintended teenage pregnancies.
The withdrawal signals the lack of commitment by the government to protect our girls from early unintended pregnancies.
ODM leader Raila Odinga endorses former governors Ali Hassan Joho and Wycliffe Oparanya as potential for the leadership roles within the ODM party.
Watashikana pamoja. Chama ambaye iko na msingi mzuri hawezi kusambaratika ati mtu mmoja maenda kando namna hiyo.
And the leadership of Athletics Kenya, headed by President Jackson Tuwei, has been dealt a setback following a High Court order that wants their immediate vacation from office. Once again, I bid you good welcome to this evening's daily report, and we begin in Kerugoya, where a court has ordered 4 police officers and the owner of the bar that sold deadly liquor that ended the lives of 17 people at Kangai village in Mwea West Sub-County, as well as 2 other civilians, to undergo mental assessment before being charged with murder on the 14th of this month. Elizabeth Atieno reports.
Thursday, 7 suspects linked to the deaths of 17 residents of Kangai village in Kirinyaga County made their way to a court in Kerugoya, where the prosecution led by Jane Mari was informed that the bar owner, John Murithi, his brother Anthony Muthe, Lydia Wanjiru, and 4 police officers, Francis Mutethia, Alan Kemanzi, Brian Kariuki, and former Kiamashiri Commanding Station Officer Kennedy Mugambi will be charged with murder contrary to Section 203 of the Penal Code.
Then the second accused person will be provided with a pro bono lawyer. File will be mentioned for plea taking before Justice Mwongo.
The 7 were arraigned before Kerugoya Principal Magistrate Claire Wanyama, who directed that the 6 male suspects be detained at Kerugoya GK Prison and Lydia Wanjiru be taken to Embu Women's Prison before a mental assessment is carried out on all of them, after which they are to appear before Kerugoya High Court on the 14th of March 2024 to take their plea on the murder charges.
I take judicial notice of that the issues arising from this case are indeed of public interest, and for good order, it is just prudent that all legal proceedings be concluded and bond terms be set in whichever court that the matters will be mentioned or handled.
The court was informed that 17 lives were lost between the 6th and 16th of February 2024 in Kathiga location, Mwea West Sub-County, Kirinyaga County, after the consumption of the illicit liquor believed to have been laced with ethanol. The deceased were buried in a mass funeral graced by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, his spouse Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, among other leaders who pronounced war on illicit brew.
The matter will be mentioned on the 19th of March 2024 before this court at midday.
Investigations have revealed that the lethal brew had been stored at the Kiamashiri police station before 4 rogue officers allegedly sold it to unsuspecting members of the community. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47.
Now, still on matters justice, a 19-year prison term has been imposed on 2 terror suspects who had plotted to blow several buildings in Nairobi after they were found guilty of the 2018 offense. The two, that is, two of them, Abdimajid Hassan and Mohammed Osman Nane, were convicted under the Prevention of Terrorism Act for possessing weapons, as well as, possessing weapons intended for terrorist purposes. And as Mike Kagwango reports, 3 years were imposed on a third suspect who was found guilty of fabricating identification cards for the two.
2 individuals, Abdimajid Hassan and Mohammed Osman Nane, were on Thursday sentenced to 25 years in jail age after they were found guilty of possessing improvised explosive devices, IEDs, 7 projectile bombs, and AK-47 rifles.
In respect to the first and second accused persons, they shall serve 25 years on each of the 5 counts. The Firearms Act prescribes a sentence of not less than 7 years and not more than 15 years.
Hassan and Osman were sentenced to 25 years in prison, although the court took into account the 6 years they had been detained while the case was pending.
Counts number 2 and 3, for the first and second accused persons, they shall serve 25 years less 6 years. That is 19 years imprisonment.
According to the court, the prosecution has demonstrated that on February 15, 2018, at Meriti in Isiolo County, the 2 who were also members of the Al-Shabaab terror group were in possession of dangerous weapons, including 36 hand grenades, AK-47 firearm, and 1,099 ammunitions. The 2 were also found guilty of forging an official document. Their accomplice, Lydia Nyawera Boro, was also found guilty of forging a national ID card in the name of now deceased Al-Shabaab member Jerma Huka Galgalo and passing it off as genuine. According to witnesses who testified in court, Abdimajid was motivated to carry out the bombing in an effort to free a Marsabit Muslim teacher, Guyo Gorosa Boro Sheikh, who was to be arraigned at Milimani Law Court's precinct for plea taking. Trial Magistrate Zainab Abdul sentenced them, stating without doubt that the crimes they committed were heinous in nature.
And for accused number 1 and 2, the sentences shall run concurrently.
14 days have been allotted to them for an appeal. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the government foresees the achievement of the 2/3 gender rule in the next few months by taking radical measures from the party level, where each major leadership post would have the requirement of being deputized by the opposite gender. While presiding over the launch of the G7 caucus strategy in Nairobi, President William Ruto said that the quest for prosperity by the nation has been hampered by an inclusivity deficit, where the number of women in leadership positions has been compromised, even with concerted efforts through devolution. He has now emphasized that the need for affirmative action is quite important as a short-term solution to this menace.
The world is not on track to achieve gender equality by 2030. At the current rate, it will take about 140 years to achieve equal representation in leadership, 300 years to end child marriage, and about 286 years to close gaps in legal protection and remove discriminatory laws. According to the 2022 Equilib report, the situation is even more dire in the workplace, where only 5% of companies globally have a female CEO, and it would take almost 300 years to close the economic gender gap.
This time round, we will make sure that the 2/3 gender rule is attained. And the exercise that is going on in Parliament, the NADCO report, now includes what Aisha Jumwa and her team have been doing. And The commitment I made is that for the 290 seats, at the very minimum, we must have at least 1/3 being women.
President William Ruto says it is alarming how policymakers have completely disregarded undertaking affirmative action, an initiative meant to close the ever-widening gender gap in the next 7 years.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, sir, I applaud your efforts and commitment towards the inclusion of women in leadership, representation, and decision-making spaces in Kenya. Through your leadership, today, Kenya has the highest number of women governors since the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution.
A truly inclusive economy would be at least twice as productive, meaning that we would have exceeded our most ambitious development projections long time ago. We can accelerate our progress to become an industrialized, high-income economy by radically enhancing the inclusion and participation of women in leadership.
This as the 2/3 gender rule, which has oddly been disregarded by policymakers, takes center stage, with different leaders pointing accusing fingers on who might be responsible for the lack of initiative in its achievement. Hibak Said for TV47.
In other news, the Kenya Human Rights Commission has red-carded 20 counties and their governors for not making tangible progress in mitigating unintended teenage pregnancies. In their report, Nairobi County leads the statistics, of counties with the highest number of teenage pregnancies. The commission is now demanding that the mentioned county chiefs need to interrogate the crisis as a matter of urgency and provide a collective voice in the prevention of teenage pregnancies in the country. Sheila Chelangat reports.
Data from the National Syndemic Disease Control Council in 2023 sounded the alarm that every day 696 adolescent girls are impregnated. Also, data from UNESCO showed that teenage pregnancies rate in Kenya stands at 18%.
The subject of early pregnancies. Statistics show that Kenya, in the world, is the second highest in the world where early pregnancies happen. This is our country.
And in view of this worrying trend, Kenya has committed to ending teenage pregnancies by the year 2030. However, the Kenya Human Rights Commission says that 20 counties are not making any progressive steps, with Nairobi leading the list of counties with the highest number of teenage pregnancies at 452 cases. Kakamega, Bungoma, Nakuru, Kiambu, Kilifi, Meru, Kisii, Machakos and Narok are also included. The commission has issued red cards to the governors of these counties, while singling out Bungoma Governor Kenneth Lusaka for his remarks on pregnant girls being barred from attending school.
Lusaka said pregnant girls should be barred from returning to class, undermining their right to education and victimizing them more. Ironically, Bungoma is one of the highest contributors to teenage pregnancy with a prevalence rate of 19% at the county level compared to the national average of 15%.
Also on the hot seat are governors of Samburu, West Pokot, Marsabit, Migori, Kajiado, Baringo, Siaya, Taita Taveta, Trans Nzoia and Isiolo counties. KHCR saying they are the highest per capita contributors to teenage pregnancies in the country. The commission says the withdrawal of the Ministry of Health in the Eastern and Southern Regional Commitment to comprehensive sexual education has exacerbated the situation.
Kenya withdrew from the Eastern and Southern Africa ministerial commitment to comprehensive sexual education. The withdrawal signals the lack of commitment by the government to protect our girls from early and intended pregnancies and to enforce laws to stop this scourge.
And so the call of this commission is
Council of Governors should interrogate the crisis as a matter of urgency and offer a collective voice on policy issues affecting the prevention and the management of teenage pregnancies in Kenya.
Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila Chelangat, for that. Now, the Cabinet has given its approval for the transition of accounting models across all government institutions. In a Cabinet dispatch, it was emphasized that all government agencies will move from the existing cash-based system, aiming to enhance accountability in the utilization of public resources. The transition between the two accounting systems, as outlined by the Cabinet, will take a period of 3 years. The decision to adopt the new accounting system stems from recommendations put forth by both the National Treasury and the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. Now, the Joint National Assembly and Senate Justice and Legal Affairs Committee has commenced its sittings today and is expected to tackle the National Dialogue Committee, or NADCO, report to be formulated into laws in order to allow for its implementation. And as our parliamentary reporter Elizabeth Mutuku now tells us, the committee has only 45 days to go through all the issues raised in the report.
The clock has started ticking today for the Joint Justice and Legal Affairs Committee that has only 45 days to have a look at all 8 issues raised in the NADCO report and table a report to the bicameral House within the said timelines. The JLAC chairpersons George Morongara and his Senate counterpart Hilary Sigei taking members through the preliminaries and working modalities which will allow them to dispense their mandate within the said time, with 8 issues to be deliberated on. 4 bills will emanate from National Assembly and 4 bills will emanate from Senate.
If today is settled on Wednesday, coming week at 10 a.m., when we will start work on this, and if need be, if we need more time and if we need more consecutive days, then we can consult the House of Parliament to give us that time and more days when we can meet and conclude what we have been tasked to do.
Referred to this committee, 4 to be published by the National Assembly, 4 to be published by the Senate, and the Constitutional Amendment 1 to be published by this committee. And that is the assignment that is ahead of us.
The National Assembly is expected to review a series of legislative proposals, including the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill of 2024, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Amendment Bill 2024, Leader of Opposition Bill 2024, and the National Government Coordination Amendment Bill of the year 2024.
Sectoral report on the 2/3 gender rule. This matter in NADCO was actually referred to that team, and the team has submitted its report. We confirm we will be looking at the 2/3 gender rule together with the other proposals that have been referred to us. Thank you very much.
Key proposals in the report include the overhaul and restructuring of the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission IEBC. The NADCO report suggests expanding the selection panel from 7 to 9 members. Also, the report calls for an evaluation of the 2022 electoral process, a matter which is strongly agitated for by the opposition.
The ways of amending the constitution is not just by parliamentary initiative alone. It's either popular initiative, which may require also a referendum. So those are issues that will be guiding the country as to whether everything that is proposed can actually technically be amended through parliament, or there are some that may require to go through a referendum process. Thank you.
fate of NADCO report now lies within the Joint Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to decide on amendments and other decisions on the issues therein, and on whether the process will be implemented through Parliament or some of the issues will be channeled back to Mwananchi. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Pound Buildings, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth Mutuku. She's a parliamentary reporter right there, very gifted, very incisive. Now, the Orange Democratic Movement is facing in-house squabbles that will determine whether the party will be strong or not come the next election cycle. The discussions within the party, of course, will also determine whether Azimio la Umoja as a unit or as a presidential candidate, whether a presidential candidate will emerge from Azimio la Umoja as a coalition or not. Paul Kirobi comes to us with that analysis.
The rhythm echoes through the halls of the second largest party, ODM, indicate that the ongoing push and pull within its ranks shows no signs of being resolved. The misunderstanding within the party regarding its leadership, should party leader Raila Odinga take up the Africa Union Commission chairmanship, intensifies as key figures within the party clash over the selection of the next party leader and whether ODM will field a presidential candidate in 2027. Currently, the responsibility to navigate the push and pull and maintain unity within the party falls upon two leaders within the party, former Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya and former Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho.
Watashikana pamoja. Chama ambaye iko na msingi mzuri hawezi kusambaratika ati mtu mmoja maenda kando namna hiyo. Chama sio mtu. Chama ni wanachama na viongozi. Na mimi na hakika hawa ambaye niko nao hapa wanatosha.
Amidst the new developments within the party, there are other leaders who feel sidelined in the race for the party's leadership. The decisions made by Oparanya and Joho will also be crucial in determining whether ODM will field a presidential candidate in 2027.
Watu waelewe, serikali inayokuja mwaka wa 2027 ni serikali ya ODM. Na mambo ni mawili ama matatu pia, lakini ya muhimu ni mawili.
Hakuna mtu anaweza ingilia ODM. ODM itabaki kama ODM, na mimi niko na hakika ODM will form government in 2027.
While speculation is rife that there is the possibility of ODM lending support to Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, it risks sparking further disputes and potential fallout among party leaders.
Opio andai
mapungufu yake ni gani? Ni kama Kalonzo.
Kizungu mingi, lakini identify na wananchi.
Despite differing opinions within the party, Raila's close ally Junet Mohamed asserts that ODM must present a candidate in 2027.
Hakuna mtu anaweza ingilia ODM. ODM itabaki kama ODM, na mimi niko na hakika ODM will form government in 2027.
In a contrasting view, Embakasi MP Babu Owina has indicated his readiness to support Kalonzo Musyoka to lead the larger Azimio coalition if ODM chooses to endorse him.
Kalonzo akatushikilia 2017, Kalonzo akatushikilia 2022. Kalonzo pia anaweza fanya kazi. Hapa akiamua ni Kalonzo, hakuna shida. Manake amekuwa na sisi, amekufa na sisi, na yeye pia apewe heshima yake.
Paul Kirobi, TV47.
Tonight, President William Ruto's administration is on the spot after the Controller of Budget, Dr. Margaret Nyakango, said that the government spent only 70 billion shillings on development against a budget of 783 billion shillings in the first 6 months of the 2023-2024 financial year. The paltry amount is in stark contrast with recurrent expenditure for the same period, which amounted to 561 billion shillings. And as Apollo Kamau reports, the Controller of Budget's implementation report also shows high spending on state travel, mocking President William Ruto's travel ban.
For the first 6 months of the 2023-2024 financial year, development in President William Ruto's administration appears to have taken a backseat after the Controller of Budget, Dr. Margaret Nyakango, said the national government only spent 70.48 billion shillings on development, from a development budget of 783.2 billion shillings, representing 15.4% of the budget instead of the 35% required by law.
This figure was revised to 783. It was reduced during Supplementary 1 to 783.22. So the 70.41 is a proportion of the 783.
Up to December, yes. We only spent 70 billion shillings on development.
On development, yes.
Wow.
For national government, yes.
The government had further received 127 billion shillings from development partners, making the total expenditure on development 197 billion shillings. In the same period of 6 months, recurrent expenditure, including salaries for government employees, amounted to 561 billion shillings, which is 41.2% of the budget.
We have the A&A. This A&A is money that doesn't come from the consolidated fund. So this one, I never get to see it. It is just reported when we are receiving the reports. That's why we have gross and net.
On domestic and state travel, the control of the budget report makes mockery of the president's travel ban, with a report showing government officials spent 11.3 billion shillings in the first 6 months, compared to 8.1 billion shillings for a similar period in the 2022-2023 financial year. The government spent 7.6 billion shillings on domestic travel and 3.7 billion shillings on foreign travel. The control of budget report comes at a time Parliament has proposed increasing spending limits in the budget policy statement, awarding themselves 2 billion shillings more from what the Treasury had proposed, bringing the proposed amount to 43.6 billion shillings. The executive budget was also boosted by 50 billion shillings and GCDF by 8.8 billion shillings, with rural electrification program and roads also getting a shot in the arm. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Now, detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, that is the DCI, have today, Thursday, apprehended 3 suspects suspected to be running a car theft syndicate. These suspects were apprehended by detectives during an afternoon raid that also managed to recover several cars and car parts. Kisawa Emery with that report.
Detectives from Nairobi DCI Regional Headquarters, who are pursuing a case of a stolen motor vehicle from a garage along Kangundo Road, have discovered several suspected stolen cars and motor vehicle parts at a yard in Utawala Estate, Nairobi. 3 suspects believed to be members of a well-organized criminal ring that targets vehicles left for repairs at garages were also rounded up in the operation, which was augmented by a team from DCI Kayole. In the case, Matthew Odhiambo Ndacha, Joseph Otieno Ngeso, and Stephen Kabinku Mwangi are believed to have conspired with the yard owner to steal a Toyota Allion model registration number KBM 157S, whose owner had left it at the Kangundo Road repair shop before starting to dismantle it for sale as spare parts. On storming the yard, whose owner, a former senior police officer who was out of sight, several recoveries, including the reported Toyota Allion, were made. The others include 3 unidentified Toyota Probox cars, a Toyota station wagon, chassis CE107 58143, rear lights for the dismantled Toyota KBM 157S, 8 box lorry containers, a Mitsubishi truck, assorted vandalized engine parts, 10 sets of motor vehicle registration plates, a Toyota Allion fixed with a Toyota Premio bonnet and boot, and fixed with registration plates KBY 146F. The suspects are being interrogated with a view to possibly identify more members of the criminal syndicate.
Now, the Kenya Tourism Board has embarked on a strategic partnership engagement with county governments to unlock tourism potential in different parts of the country, or rather different tourism circuits in the country. The engagement, which involves a comprehensive mapping framework, is aimed at cataloguing all tourist attractions countrywide and seeks to revitalize the tourism sector and enhance visitor experience. Through partnerships, the Destination Marketing Agency will work closely with all 47 counties to identify unique selling propositions that will elevate tourism experiences and stimulate domestic tourism.
We have intentionally sought to partner with county governments in bringing out tourism experiences and attractions, as well as destinations that reside within counties. We are establishing more products, segments, and really diversifying our product and experiences that are offered to tourists, whether domestic front or the international front. County governments, through the governors, have really brought out strongly, voicing what attractions are in the counties. So hidden gems as well have been brought up. Areas with potential for development or redevelopment have been brought up, but also bring and attract a lot of investments into those local regions and make Kenya be sold as a year-round destination